Amber Dawn, student here at Randolph-Macon. Thank you for that previous answer. I'll give you a bit of reprieve. I am not challenging you in any way, shape, or form. And I only wrote this down because I know I'd forget what I wanted. As someone coming from a religious family, especially in an area with such a dominant religion and a particular figurehead, how does someone find their own way when leaving is not quite an option?
I didn't quite the last sentence.
How does one find their own way when leaving just yet is not quite an option?
Okay.
First, and I have a small...
I think this is a very serious question, because I've had letters from really quite a lot of people, especially in America, and they say things like, I'm actually an atheist, but I daren't admit it. I'm frightened of my family, I'm frightened of my parents, I'm frightened of my minister. I read an article the other day about a boy in a small town in Texas who didn't want to be confirmed. And the priest said, well, that's okay, you don't have to be confirmed, but you have to write down your reasons for not being confirmed. Why did the boy have to write down his reasons for not being confirmed into that particular church? He didn't have to write down his reasons for not being bar mitzvahed as a Jew. It just so happened that he was born into a Christian family, and therefore the presumption was made that he'd better have a good reason for not being confirmed into the religion of his parents or else. And that's one of the main problems we have, is the assumption that our society makes. Regardless of whether we are religious or not, we all buy into the convention that children belong to the religion of their parents. You will see newspaper articles talking about Christian children and Muslim children and Jewish children, children who may be as young as 3 or 4 years old and who are therefore obviously much too young to know what their beliefs are about the cosmos and humanity and religion. There is no such thing as a Christian child. There is only a child of Christian parents. Whenever you hear the phrase Christian child, or Muslim child, or Protestant child, or Catholic child, the phrase should grate like fingernails on a blackboard. Just as the feminists have raised our consciousness to phrases like one man, one vote. You can't hear that phrase now without sort of at least wincing slightly, because you realize it should be one person, one vote. At present, we haven't had our consciousness raised about the labeling of children with the religion of their parents. That's just one aspect, and it shows itself, to return to the questioner, it shows itself in a great deal of difficulty that any young person has, indeed any person of any age has, in departing from the religion of their parents, their social group, their grandparents, their uncles and aunts and so on. It might be a bit like getting divorced. I mean, it's sort of something that raises real social problems. There's a magnificent one-woman show by the comic actress Julia Sweeney called Letting Go of God, in which she describes her own journey from Catholic upbringing to the mature and balanced atheist that she is today. And she describes the difficulty of admitting to her family that she had become an atheist. It actually was reported in a newspaper, and her mother read it and screamed down the telephone. And Julia Sweeney, it's very witty, a very funny performance she does. She says that her mother was absolutely horrified. Not believing in God was one thing, but an atheist? I don't know what the answer is. The precedent of gay people is one that one can vaguely bear in mind. I mean, homosexuality is now much, much more accepted in our society than it was when I was young, homosexuality was actually illegal in Britain up until, I think, the 1960s, believe it or not. And the great British mathematician, one of the two fathers of the modern computer, Alan Turing, who arguably, because of his brilliance in solving the German Enigma codes in the Second World War, did more to win the Second World War than either Churchill or Eisenhower. Alan Turing was arrested for homosexual behavior in the 1950s and was essentially driven to suicide. That has now changed, and now people can be openly gay. The word gay has become a word used with pride rather than with shame. I think that we do have to have a shift in social attitudes to atheism, which will mirror that towards homosexuality. It is, after all, just a view about the cosmos and about various other things, about humanity, about morality. It is really quite extraordinary that somebody's view about such an academic matter as whether there exists a supreme intelligence should reflect upon their, the way they're looked at in society, the way their family and their friends look at them. It is quite remarkable that that should be the case. Once again, it's something we've all got to do something about.
Last question, very simple. Is anger a common symptom of a person who is going through the deconditioning process of their parents' religion?
I think you're too close to the microphone.
I said, is anger a common symptom of a person who is going through the deconditioning process of their parents' religion?
Is anger a common symptom of a person who's going through a deconditioning process from their parents' religion? I don't know. It had never occurred to me. Does anybody else have personal... I think sort of fear is probably more common. I mean, fear of what their parents are going to think, rather than anger. But I could be wrong. I'm interested in that. If that question is based on personal experience, I'd be interested to hear more. Is that a common experience? Yes. Wow. Anger on the part of the person who is undergoing the deconversion themselves? Yes. Anger against whom or what?
The entire process. Having the clergy people, all of the authority figures who pushed this as a norm, which was anathema to the child's reason.
Right. Well, thank you. That's extremely interesting. I've learned something this evening. Thank you.